The Valdrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems in less than a century. Their fleet, vast and technologically superior, moved through the galaxy like a harvester through wheat fields. When their scanners detected Earth, a small blue planet rich in rare minerals and water, the conquest seemed inevitable. Another primitive world, another easy victory. Admiral Zekthor stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's edge, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. The holographic display showed Earth rotating peacefully below, unaware of the death sentence that hung above it. "Begin the extraction protocol," he commanded, his voice a low rumble. "Eliminate any resistance. The Emperor wants those resources within the cycle." The Valdrian strategy had always been efficient: bombardment from orbit, ground forces to secure key locations, and mining operations within weeks. They had perfected it across dozens of worlds. Earth would be no different. But Earth was different. The first wave of Valdrian ships descended through the atmosphere, targeting major population centers. Beijing, New York, Mumbai, São Paulo. Cities that had stood for centuries were meant to fall in hours. Plasma cannons charged, ready to reduce human civilization to ash. Then the humans fired back. Commander Sarah Chen watched from the makeshift command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The alien ships had appeared 3 days ago, and in those 72 hours, humanity had done what it did best: adapted, unified, and weaponized everything they could find. All batteries. "Fire at will," she ordered calmly. Railguns, originally designed for theoretical space defense, roared to life. Missiles carrying experimental nuclear payloads streaked upward. The humans had taken every prototype, every abandoned military project, every impossible weapon design, and made them work. Because when extinction stared humanity in the face, impossibility became irrelevant. The Valdrians hadn't expected resistance of this magnitude. Their shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, buckled under the kinetic force of solid projectiles traveling at hypersonic speeds. 3 ships fell from the sky within the first hour. Zekthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. "What is this?" "Their technology is primitive. How are they?" "Sir, they're not using energy weapons," his tactical officer reported, voice trembling. "They're using solid mass accelerated to extreme velocities." "Our shields weren't designed for..." An explosion rocked the flagship. The humans had modified their intercontinental ballistic missiles, weapons designed to destroy their own kind, and turned them skyward. What was meant for mutual assured destruction became the sword of species survival. "Return fire. Obliterate their launch sites," Zekthor roared. But the humans had learned from millennia of warfare among themselves. Their launch sites were mobile, hidden, distributed. Every farm, every mountain, every ocean could hide a weapon. The Valdrians were fighting not an army, but an entire species that had turned its planet into a fortress. On the ground, Valdrian shock troops landed in rural Kansas, expecting frightened primitives. Instead, they found farmers with hunting rifles, teenagers with homemade explosives, and elderly veterans who remembered what it meant to fight for survival. The Valdrians had superior armor and weapons, but the humans had home field advantage and the fury of the desperate. Captain Marcus Webb led his unit through the ruins of what used to be downtown Atlanta. The Valdrians had managed to level several city blocks before the human counterattack drove them back. Now they were entrenched, and Webb's orders were simple: take no prisoners, give no ground. "They wanted our resources," Webb muttered to his squad as they prepared to breach the alien position. "They're about to learn those resources come with a price tag written in blood." The assault was brutal. Humans died by the dozens, but they learned quickly. Valdrian armor was strong but had weak points at the joints. Their weapons were powerful but required time to recharge. Every failure became a lesson. Every death became data. Within weeks, human forces were using captured Valdrian technology, reverse engineering it with a speed that terrified the invaders. A plasma rifle that took the Valdrians decades to perfect was being reproduced in underground factories within days. Zekthor watched his empire's perfect conquest unravel. Half his fleet was destroyed or damaged. Ground forces were being systematically hunted across multiple continents. The Emperor's demands for resources had become desperate pleas for reinforcements. "They're insane," his second-in-command whispered, reviewing combat footage. "They crashed an aircraft into one of our destroyers. The pilot knew he would die, but he did it anyway." Zekthor understood then what his intelligence reports had missed. The Valdrian Empire conquered worlds where inhabitants surrendered when defeat seemed certain, but humans had a concept in their history called fighting to the last man. They meant it literally. The turning point came above the Pacific Ocean. The remaining Valdrian fleet, battered and desperate, attempted one final orbital bombardment. But humanity had spent those weeks building something new, something born from their ridiculous stubbornness and refusal to accept defeat. The railgun, stretching across 3 countries and powered by every nuclear reactor they could divert, fired. The projectile, a tungsten rod weighing several tons and accelerated to a fraction of light speed, punched through the Dominion's edge like paper. Admiral Zekthor's last thought as his flagship disintegrated around him was a simple one. They weren't supposed to fight back. The surviving Valdrian ships retreated into faster-than-light travel, carrying with them a warning that would echo across the galaxy. Earth was marked in red on every star map, a warning to any species that might consider conquest. These humans possessed something more dangerous than any weapon. They possessed the absolute refusal to surrender. Commander. Chen stood among the ruins of civilization, looking at the stars where the enemy had fled. The victory had cost billions of lives, and Earth's surface was scarred beyond recognition. But humanity still stood. They wanted our resources, she said quietly to the assembled survivors. We gave them a fight instead. In the years that followed, the Valdrian Empire collapsed. Word spread of their defeat at the hands of a supposedly primitive species. Other empires, other conquerors looked at Earth and chose different paths. Diplomacy, trade, alliance. Because the galaxy had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. They could be partners. They could be friends, but they would never, ever be victims. The Empire had wanted Earth's resources. What they got instead was a demonstration that the most dangerous resource on that small blue planet wasn't its minerals or its water. It was the fury of its people when pushed too far.